How do you quantum jump? In order to quantum jump, you've got to match your frequency to the frequency of the desired reality that you wish to exist in. According to quantum physics, there are unlimited amounts of parallel realities that are existing right now where you are having completely different life experiences. Some of the experiences are close to the ones you're living now, and some are vastly different. Now, what are these different parallel realities based on? They're based on choices you've made, frequencies you're vibrating at, limiting beliefs that different versions of you have. Every time you've made a choice, according to quantum physics, different realities split off, and one version of you went this way and one went the other way. Now, based on the choices you made, you're going to have different life experiences, which are going to create different limiting beliefs or positive beliefs within you. And that's going to create different frequencies that you're vibrating at. And according to those frequencies, you're going to exist in a parallel universe that matches that frequency. So, how do we do it? I love the idea of quantum jumping more than the idea of manifestation because quantum jumping says you don't have to create anything, it's already created for you. What you need to do is match your thoughts, feelings, actions, and frequency to match the desired reality that you wish to exist in. You have to match your frequency, your beliefs, your thoughts, and your actions to those of that version of you that is living in that reality. So basically, you're going to want to raise your frequency to match that vibration, but also start acting as that version of you that already lives in that reality. You're going to want to remove the limiting beliefs that are telling you that that reality is not possible for you. And you're going to want to maintain your vibration at that frequency for as long as possible. When you're starting off doing this, it can be hard to maintain that high frequency because if you were already at that frequency, like say 70% of the time, you would be living in that reality because you would be a match for that universe. So in order to quantum jump, we have to do things to, like I said, change your beliefs, but also shift your frequency so you're vibrating at that level more often than when you're not. And when your frequency gets to a tipping point where you're vibrating at that frequency more than you're vibrating at the one you're living in, you will quantum jump, you will leap, and you will exist in a new reality. I have had this happen and it's absolutely wild. What is quantum jumping? It's like when you're living in one reality and then really quicker than it should take in physical reality for you to have a different life experience, you have a different life experience. Maybe you meet your soulmate. Maybe you come into a lot of money. Maybe you suddenly get your dream job when it seemed like it was taking you years and time and all this action in the physical realm and things weren't shifting. And then when you have a quantum leap, it's like your life changes overnight. It's absolutely amazing. Some things that you might experience when you're quantum jumping, for me, I get a lot of deja vu, or when I've had the biggest quantum leaps in my life, I felt like I was falling into my body. It was like a shifting, like I could almost feel myself moving through different parallel realities. When you are wanting to quantum leap to a new reality, you need to get clear on what reality you're wanting to leap to. You need to get clear on what you're going to be experiencing, actually what a different version of you is already currently experiencing. Because there is a version of you, if you can imagine something on a different parallel timeline experiencing that thing that you want to experience, the very fact that you can imagine it means it exists. And that version of you is calling you to it. Just like how we want to heal our inner child and tell a younger version of self or a version of self that went through a hard time, just how you want to do the healing and tell that version of you that things got better, that you overcame something, show them something great about your life now. Your higher version timeline of self is doing the same thing to you. So oftentimes when you're ready to quantum leap, you'll be feeling, for me, I'll be feeling that future version of self pulling me towards them. Sometimes I'll have dreams about the life experience that I'm wanting to have. I'll get messages, I'll get intuitive downloads, I'll hear things, feel things, get messages from my higher self that's showing me that this reality is available to me. The first thing you need to do is get clear on why you are not living in that reality now. This can be limiting beliefs about yourself and about the way the world works because reality is a belief. So oftentimes, after you've gotten clear on the reality that you want to jump to, things are going to come up, and this is a good sign. For me, it's triggers. It's things that I'm reacting to. It's things that are showing up in my reality that almost sometimes feel the opposite of the life that I'm trying to quantum leap to, but this is the universe showing me why I am not yet in that reality. When these things come up, it's almost like the universe is giving you a chance to act like the person that is living in that reality. For example, if you're working on manifesting more abundance and things are coming up around scarcity, maybe you're triggered by money, you don't want to give money, you have more bills than you planned on, something that's coming up around abundance, basically what the universe is actually saying is don't keep going into scarcity, act abundant instead. It is giving you a way to act like that new version of self, because the more you act like that person, the more you're going to align with that frequency. It's almost like proving to yourself that you live in the reality that you want to exist in. With quantum leaping, you have to go first. You have to go first with your thoughts, you have to go first with your actions, and you have to go first with your beliefs. So, oftentimes when I'm desiring to quantum leap to a new reality, I first get clear on what I want, what reality I want to live in. Then, not only do I pay attention to my triggers and track them, but I ask myself what I would have to be believing about myself or about reality to be living in the reality that I'm living in now. Let's say you're wanting to quantum leap to the reality where you are with your soulmate. You would ask yourself what you have to believe about yourself or about world, about life, about relationships in general, for you to be having the experiences that you're having. Maybe the experience that you're having is that there's no one around. Maybe the experiences that you're having is that you are constantly attracting toxic people, trauma bonds, can't get away from your ex. Whatever you are experiencing, that is what you're believing about reality. So get clear on those limiting beliefs. Step 3 is you are going to start tuning your frequency to that which you want to exist in. I like to do this a lot with music. And like I said, sometimes when we're quantum leaping to a new reality, it's hard to hold the vibration for longer than 30 seconds or a minute. So it's a good practice to find a song that reminds you of that reality you want to live in, whether it be a new relationship, whether it be lots of money, whether it be your dream job, and visualize while you're listening to the song, but you've got to bring the feelings in with you. Visualize what you would be doing in that reality and just really let that song draw you into that feeling place that you're living in that reality now. Now, I just had a major download about this when I was traveling last week and I was doing the Joe Dispenza's meditations, which are all about quantum leaping. I'm quantum leaping to a new level in my life. And I realized that I was only able to hold the feelings and the visualization for only a few minutes. And the more I was doing these meditations, I got this download from my higher self that I didn't necessarily have to hold the frequency of the version of me that's living in that reality fully yet. What I had to do was hold the frequency of the version of me that's figured it out. And, and this is actually the same vibration that I held when I had one of my biggest quantum leaps about 2 years ago, a huge quantum leap in love, money, home. What I realized was I just had to connect with the version of myself that had figured that out. And even if I didn't yet know how to figure out that quantum leap, I just had to align with the version of myself that had figured it out and know that she existed. And the more that I just got in that feeling place of, you just cultivate the feeling of, I've already figured this out. This is already solved. I already have what I want. It's easier to get to than believing that you already have everything that you want, because if you fully believed it and was in that frequency, you would live in that reality. So just close your eyes and start to imagine what it feels like to already be on the other side of this. That was a huge thing that helped me so much. And I think it's a great tip because it like bridges the gap between where you are now and the real good feeling place of what you'll actually feel when you get there. Because when you get there and when you really do quantum leap to a new level of your life, it becomes familiar. Another thing, this is tip 3.5, is to make what you want familiar to you. That's why visualization is great, but visualization only works when you get into like a feeling place. So you're going to start to daydream about the life that you want and just kind of imagine what it would be like and make it familiar to your subconscious mind so that it doesn't freak you out so much, because our subconscious mind is like responsible for creating 95% of our lives. And our subconscious mind and our ego is always trying to keep us safe. So if something's not familiar to us, it's harder for us to bring that into reality. So make the thing that you want really familiar. And the fourth step is you are going to listen to your intuition. You are going to be guided into any steps you may need to take in the physical world in order to quantum leap, or any places you need to go to meet the people you need to meet to bring the people in. You're going to be guided to where your soulmate is. You're going to be guided to limiting beliefs and triggers that you need to clear up. But your intuition is really going to come in and tell you how more to raise your frequency to get to that desired reality. And this step also goes along with acting as the person that already lives in this reality. So you might be guided to call a certain person, to go to a certain place, to listen to a certain podcast, but also you're going to be guided to take actions that that version of you is already taking. And this doesn't need to be something like crazy. It is almost more to prove to yourself that you are this person. You're going to prove to your subconscious mind that you are this person. If you are wanting to start a YouTube channel, have a podcast, you're going to have to start to do those sort of things, even if you have no followers. If you want to have a good relationship, you're going to have to start saying no to people that are super toxic. You're going to have to cut off your ex. You're going to probably dress better or do things that make you feel worthy of being with your soulmate. You're going to say no to things that are no longer in alignment with who you are not being. And oftentimes, you're going to have to let go of people, places, or things. This is because you don't always have to drop people on the spiritual path, but oftentimes we have to let go of beliefs about ourselves, or sometimes relationships, or even physical objects like clothes that don't match the vibration we're calling in next, because these things are going to remind us of the old version of us. And in order to get to the next, in order to quantum leap to the reality that you want to exist in, you cannot hang on to old beliefs about yourself and perceptions of yourself. And also, if there are people in your life that are dragging you down in a sense, oftentimes you might have to let some of those relationships go, because all that is going to happen with you being around those people is it's just going to remind you of the version of self that you were before. You don't always have to drop people. Some people come with you into next levels of reality. And even the cooler thing is, when you really shift your beliefs and you really start being this new person, sometimes when you quantum leap to reality, those people are just different. It's like you quantum leap to a reality where they're different. It's so wild. I quantum leapt to a reality where someone that I had known 15 years before used to have a tattoo, didn't have it anymore. I made a video about this. It's crazy. And he never got the tattoo according to this reality, but I remember it so well, even though he said he had always wanted to get the tattoo. So I quantum leapt to a version where a friend was different like 15 years later. It gets really super wild. Also, another time I quantum leapt, I was like, I run in my neighborhood pretty much the same way, like 5 days a week. And I was going by this one house, and all the other houses were the same except this one. It was so distinctly different. There was no way it could have changed from the day before when I ran past it. So sometimes you'll see things in your physical reality that are like slightly different. If you watch the TV show Sliders from the 90s, it illustrates it so well that sometimes we'll jump to realities that are like pretty similar, but like something's different, like a house is different, someone doesn't have a tattoo. But sometimes you'll jump to a reality where you jump to that reality and the people that are around you are going to be different. And if they're still in your life, then that version of them are also vibrating higher, because anytime we heal anything within ourselves, limiting beliefs or beliefs about reality, we also heal the people around us. But this is also why it's important of who you're around, because people around us can also bring us back into the negative feelings about ourselves, limiting beliefs about the world, about the way world works. Because reality is a belief, and there is a version of you existing, living your dream life. And if you are imagining it and you can't stop, ooh, did you hear that? That was confirmation. And if you're imagining it and you can't stop thinking about it, it's because that version of you is calling you towards it. It's calling you to think different thoughts, feel different feelings, have different beliefs, and act like the person that already lives in that reality. Quantum leaping is amazing. You can absolutely do it. You're already doing it now by watching this video. The version of you that chose to watch this video wouldn't have chosen it if you weren't ready to leap into the next reality. Have a magical week. Much love.